That's my story. Let's spend some time getting to know yours. I'm gonna invite you to do a little bit of a reflection activity with me. As you're comfortable, you can all just close your eyes wherever you are. And with your eyes closed, I'm gonna ask you to start to bring to mind a part of you that tends to overwork, to be a perfectionist or a people pleaser, struggles to set boundaries. I'm gonna ask what it would be like if you tone that part of you back a little. To just let that go a little. For the piece of you that pops up with some tension or resistance, let's lean into that and ask why not? What would happen? What would go wrong? Would things go wrong? The other shoe would finally drop and it'd be all your fault? Would you lose success? Would you not have anything to talk about in conversation to feel worthy anymore? Then let's practice some curiosity around where you might have first adapted or learned this, when it might have helped or protected you in life. Did you learn early on you had to be perfect to avoid shame or discipline? Or when you were young, did you learn you had to be overly self-reliant? You had to take care of everything and everyone because your caretaker couldn't? Or maybe later in life, in college, did you learn it was worth sacrificing whatever you needed to get that win or accolade? Maybe to make up for not feeling accepted earlier in life. See what it would be to speak to that part of yourself and say, "Thank you so much for making this adaptation. You helped me through such an important time. But right now, I don't need you to be on the clock all the time anymore. I have a beautiful life that I've built with safety and stability, and I have people in my life that love me for who I am and not what I do. You can take a breather, so I can too." As you're ready, just gently opening your eyes back up and coming back into the room with me. Welcome back. So part of that reflection activity is an example of what we would technically call identifying our cognitive schemas. Our cognitive schemas are essentially how our brain forms all of our subconscious behaviors, patterns, thoughts, and emotions, which our brain largely learns based on past experiences we've had. A majority of our subconscious schemas, our behaviors, are formed and adapted early on in life, especially in childhood, because our brains are kind of blank slates. We haven't experienced much of life yet, so out of safety and efficiency, our brain takes each big experience and wants to say, okay, this is what I did, these were the factors around, this is what happened, and therefore is how I should predict, I should feel, think, and act from here on out, and it puts that on autopilot into our subconscious. This can be very beneficial when it does keep us safe and efficient. However, it can also become very outdated and unhealthy for us too, which is why it's so important to do this work. Now, doing such work is not about saying because a lot of our subconscious behaviors were formed in the past that they're all invalid or wrong. What it is about doing is making sure we each do our own due diligence to understand where the blueprint of our behaviors came from and ensure they're still relevant and productive to our current lives. We update everything else important in our lives, from our homes to our technology to our education. Why aren't we doing the same with our behaviors that affect our everyday? Now, I'm sure some of y'all might be asking, okay, I thought we were talking about workplace burnout. Why aren't we talking more about our workplaces and our employers? Which is where I'll offer a little bit of a plot twist. Yes, when it comes to burnout, our workplaces and employers do own a big part of the equation. However, what I find to be somewhat of an overlooked part of the equation today is what piece of the problem we individually own ourselves to. If I inherently have a tendency or a pattern to overwork or not be able to set boundaries, no matter what workplace or organization I change, if I never take accountability to drive my own internal change, then no matter what external change I make, I will likely keep suffering from the same patterns over and over again. Now, All that being said, and all that being something I strongly believe in, I am also a realist, and I know that not all of us will be ready to do our own deep personal work yet. So where else can we start on this topic? What else can we do? I'll offer 3 smaller steps. First, when you find yourself wanting to say we're like family around work or organizations, try to get clearer in your communication and use language that has better boundaries. As Brené Brown says, clear is kind, unclear is unkind. So if you find yourself wanting to say we're like family, but you're really kind of asking for a favor, clarify that. Say, hey, we actually need this deliverable a week sooner. What can we do to achieve that? Or if you're just trying to communicate a value about your organization, again, clarify the language and use boundaries. Say, it's a priority for our teams to feel trust and connection. Or, as my friend Trey, the CEO of Chronologic, says to his team, he says, we're not like a family. We're like a professional sports team. It still infers that same warmth and camaraderie, but within the boundaries of a workplace. Now, when it comes to this topic, it's not to say that you can't have deep, meaningful relationships from work, but it is to point out that we need to practice healthy boundaries so that we can sustain healthy workplaces and relationships. The second tip I'll offer is to actually do the work to learn and model healthy boundaries for one another. If you are a people pleaser who tends to overscope and overcommit, try buying some time before you respond and commit. Say, hey, I need to evaluate this against my other priorities. Can I get back to you by the end of the day? Give yourself some time for that behavioral change instead of getting stuck in the same repetitive pattern. When you're communicating boundaries, clarify what you need and what the impact will be if you don't get that need met. Say, if we need this product a month sooner, I'm going to need the help of 2 other people. Otherwise, the quality is really going to be at risk, and we might either lose team members or customers. Remember that when you're communicating boundaries, it's not a me versus you fight, but it's what we need to do to collectively come together to resource ourselves to sustain our organizations, workplaces, and relationships. Last tip I will offer is to see if you can find one way to empower mental health for yourself or others this year. I will recognize that just when it comes to talking about mental, emotional health, our behaviors in our past, that can feel tender, personal, but it can especially feel a little scary or stigmatized when we are talking about working with experts like psychologists or psychotherapists. I'll close here by offering a reframe in that thinking, a reframe in that stigma. When it comes to any other important part of our lives, we seek out experts. When it comes to our physical health, we seek out doctors. Financial health, we seek out financial advisors. Why is it that when it comes to our mental health, we think we should take care of it on our own? We would never look at a friend who's having a heart attack and be like, yo, you should really take care of that yourself, otherwise you're kind of weak. You should not need to go to the hospital. Why is it that we think we can grow or develop our mental health when most of us don't have the tools or education to do so? So today, whether it is your propensity to burn out, your struggle with setting boundaries, or something different, I hope you can feel a little bit more free and empowered to start building more meaning and sustainability into your life. Thank you for your time.